No matter what you do in the season, the team that's remembered is the team that wins.
Mike Krzyzewski was reflecting on his 1999 Duke squad there, one of the greatest college basketball teams ever. But they didn't win the title, and that could have been the story for this entire Duke era if it weren't for Coach K's undying belief that no deficit was insurmountable for his squad. Duke's legendary back-to-back title teams of 91 and 92 forever changed the standard. Success was no longer measured in ACC titles or even Final Four appearances, but just national championships.
There's no time to have a down year. It's just rebuild and keep going. Like, it's championship or bust at Duke. There is no, oh, we made it to the Final Four. Oh, last year's team got to the championship. It's either you win it or you don't.
No one pictured them not winning in 1999. They were stocked with future pros.
They had William Avery, Corey Maggette, Trajan Langdon, Elton Brand. I mean, they were loaded in 1999.
Starting in 99, when Duke had arguably the best team in the country along with UConn, just steamrolled everybody and then wound up losing in the championship game to Jim Calhoun and UConn. When it's the championship game is the be-all and end-all, you don't want it to be that way at the beginning.
We had gotten so close in 1999, and we had truly an historic team. If we beat UConn that year, we're one of the best teams post-Wooden era, hands down. But we lose that game, and we're a skid mark in the underwear of college basketball history.
Determined for that not to be his legacy, Shane Battier took on the role as team leader as a junior, surrounded by an incoming freshman class that was absurdly talented. And they delivered on that promise, cementing their place in Duke lore forever. But before we get to this new class, it's important to remember Duke faced an NBA exodus for the first time in 1999.
Maggette went after 1 year, Brand and Avery after 2 years, and it was now going to be the start of us losing guys before they finished their 4 years of eligibility.
That meant Battier, the kind of guy who talked about his game like this.
No team has won a championship without having a player that is willing to dive on the ground for loose balls, take the charge, do the dirty work per se. And I've really identified with that role, and I enjoy doing it.
Was suddenly the team's top scorer, nearly doubling his points per game from the previous season. And he'd thrive in that role, eventually winning National Player of the Year as a senior to go along with 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. Add that to being the unequivocal leader of these young Blue Devils who wanted to leave their own mark, but also ensure Battier would be immortalized in Duke history.
Shane would come up to us and be like, guys, listen, we got all the way to the championship. We know what it takes to get there, but you guys are here now. You guys are the young group that could take us over the hump. It was almost like giving us confidence that we could achieve what they didn't achieve, even if we didn't necessarily believe it.
Shane was, you talk about great leaders being the extension of the coach on the floor. Like, that was Shane to a T. Almost to a fact you're like, I can't have 2 Coach K's in my life, Shane.
Jay Williams, the dynamic walking bucket out of New Jersey, would go on to win a Wooden Award of his own and author one of the most memorable minutes in college basketball history. More on that in a second.
Jay was like a Ferrari, man. He had like an extra gear that other cars just don't have.
Carlos Boozer, the bruising big man from Alaska with a feathery touch, patrolled the paint and dominated on both ends of the floor, posterizing dudes, blocking shots, ripping down rebounds, and igniting that break. Mike Dunleavy did it all. The 6'9 swingman with NBA lineage knocked down jumpers, put it on the deck, dished it, and defended multiple positions. He'd eventually be the number 3 pick in the 2002 NBA draft, where Jay Will went number 2.
Oh, look how smooth, how silky smooth. The Duke Diaper Dandies out in transition.
This group, along with ACC Player of the Year Chris Carrawell and another great veteran leader in Nate James, lost their first 2 games of the 99-2000 campaign, but righted the ship and won the ACC regular season and tournament crowns. But that wasn't the mission anymore, and they ran into a hardened Florida team in the Sweet 16.
I felt like I really got pumped in that game. I'm sitting there saying, oh, damn, we were in this game against Florida. These dudes went all the way to a championship game to lose to the eventual champions. That should have been us.
When we lost in the Sweet 16, everybody in the locker room was in tears, crying, because all of us believed that we could win the whole thing. But that loss is what propelled us to win the next year. And that came from Shane, because Shane remembers what it was like to actually lose in the championship.
These Blue Devils saw Carrawell graduate, but everyone else returned, along with a new key piece, Chris Duhon. Duan could set the table and stroke open threes, but his biggest impact was allowing Jay Will to move off the ball to a more natural two-guard role.
I was able to then make the transition from being a full-time point guard to having Chris Duhan come in and really take on a lot of those responsibilities, to me just being in attack mode all the time and not worrying about what set we're in or who needs more touches. I was just gone.
With defined roles and a team attitude that Williams said was edgier, Duke's up-tempo offense averaged 90.7 points per game, good for second in the nation. Couple that with relentless half-court pressure defense that had long been a hallmark of the program, and you see how they led the nation with a plus 20.2 average scoring margin. They shared ACC regular season title honors with North Carolina, but dismantled their rivals by 26 in the ACC tourney final. Speaking of rivalries, Duke-UNC is probably the most iconic one in all of college sports, but that's not necessarily how this group saw it.
My stretch at Duke, Maryland was the team that matched up the best with us. They were loaded.
For my money, in my 4 years, Maryland was probably our toughest rival, because they were talented, they were hungry, and they thought they could beat us. So going into Cole Fieldhouse, and that was my favorite place to play, because they hated us. I mean, they really, I mean, whether it was like some grandmas and grandpas down to little kids, they all hated us.
Maryland would push Duke to the limit every time they played. Unfortunately for the Terps, though, their excellence for 39 minutes of one matchup set up these Blue Devils' defining moment. It's become known simply as the Miracle Minute. On the road, at an absolutely raucous Cole Fieldhouse, down 10 with less than a minute left, staring down a road loss that would probably cost Duke its number 2 ranking in the country. It began.
Williams goes down the lane to lay it in. They need a miracle. There's one. Williams for 3. Cut it to 5.
We literally circled the wagons. We got nothing but a sea of red around us, screaming, yelling, calling our mothers all types of names. It was crazy. And in that huddle, all we could hear was Coach K looking at us and saying, we're going to win this game.
Just the idea of belief. You know, if you gave truth serum to Coach K in the moment, he would probably say, what are the chances we could do this? Kind of like the 92 ending versus Kentucky. You know, you're not going to surrender to the odds.
Jay Will kind of went bonkers there in the last minute.
It's a 5-point game. Duke has the ball. Do you believe what you're seeing? Oh, it's another 3. It's a 2-point game. Holy cow.
And in that moment, he switched gears to that 8th gear that no other car had. And he went nuts, man. He hit every shot. He made his free throws. We got to overtime.
And in the huddle, we're like, oh, we're winning. And we won in overtime. And, I told the team, like, look, when we win this game, don't act like we're surprised and shocked at the outcome. Act like we knew we were going to win. Nothing better to tweak your opponent by acting like that. And of course, in the locker room, we went crazy and we said, oh my gosh, can you believe what we just did? Every time I watch that game, I still wonder, like, how in the hell did we pull that off? Because it was crazy.
It's weird. I just thought about Reggie Miller when the Knicks played, and I tried to get the ball in the basket. Thank God it went in.
I remember in that huddle, Kay just saying to us that we're going to win this game. And when your coach says it, and then the stars align perfectly for it to happen that way, right? Against a team that people are saying that could actually win a national championship, you start to then believe in how talented you are. And I'm not saying we didn't believe it before, but we didn't believe it to the degree that we believed it after we came back from 10 down.
Duke and Maryland would face each other 3 more times in the next couple months. The second meeting was a 90-81 Maryland win at Cameron Indoor in late February. Coach K made sure that didn't feel like a setback.
I just went in at 7 in the morning. We had a meeting. I think the guys thought they were going to get reamed out. And I said, we're going to win the national championship.
The Miracle Minute was a catalyst. It made everything feel possible. Duke beat Maryland by 2 on the way to winning the ACC tournament.
Trying to spread the court. Williams pull-up 3. Huge! Holy cow!
Then in their 4th and final meeting of the year, the Blue Devils found themselves needing to overcome a 22-point deficit in the Final 4.
We made a run. I think we cut it to 10. Gary Williams took off his jacket, and he's sweating and barking, and they get the Maryland guys, fighting with each other. We looked at each other and said, "Oh, we got them. We're down 10, but we're winning this game." I don't know at the end of the day if Maryland really thought that they could beat us when it mattered.
In the final 27 minutes, the Blue Devils outscored the Terps by 33 points to win going away. Battier said winning that game made a title feel meant to be. With Coach K's team back on the precipice of immortality, facing Arizona, the master made the moment feel minimal.
The beautiful thing about him is everything was very similar to how it always is. Our preparation, his speech, everything felt so familiar. It did feel like we were going into another game, even though everybody in our damn locker room knew we were going into a national championship game.
99, the basketball guys decided it wasn't our time. Hopefully they think differently this year.
In a break from the norm for this team, Duke played from ahead nearly the whole game and answered every run by the Wildcats. It was vindication and a coronation for their senior leader.
I wouldn't be here talking to you without Coach K. So I gave him a big hug on the podiums, confetti streaming down. I just said, I thank you for making me the basketball player, but more importantly, the man that I am, or I was at the time. And he said, no, big fella, thanks for letting me on your journey. That sums up Coach K.
The North Star of this team's journey was belief, repeatedly instilled by their coach.
You almost feel like you're never out of ball games. That's how we felt. And I think that just gave us a massive edge, confidence-wise, because we felt like no matter how far we got down, if we did the little things, that nobody was really better than us.
Nobody was better that year. And honestly, few teams in the history of the sport could hold a candle to this squad. 6 months after his third championship, Coach K was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. But he wasn't nearly done adding to his resume.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.